Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our presentation. Myself, I'm Ed Ainsley. This is Ash Phillips, and we're going to talk about the importance of fire protection and the seriousness of all these sort of things involved. And then our colleague Ash is going to talk a bit about facades and the building envelope side of it. In 2018 to 2019, there was an unprecedented amount of fires. I'm not really sure if any of them were actually connected, but for some reason, that was the year. If it was a fire going to happen, it was going to happen in the year. Most of the ones I'm going to show you, there was no fatalities, but I'll discuss sort of that side of things as well. First one I'm going to show you is the Premier Inn in Bristol. You know, it's July 2019. And just rattle through sort of the pictures. There it is, fully developed, and as you can see, it's all going off there. Devastation combined with disruption. There's the M4 that runs alongside of it, and of course that motorway had to be completely closed off while it dealt with the fire. And let's have a look at the after effect. As you can see there, there's a little Premier Inn sign fallen on the road there. So there we go, one hotel down for 2019. Has anyone ever stayed in that one? Bristol Premier Inn, there'd surely be somebody. I definitely did. It's your neck of the woods as well, isn't it? Holiday Inn, Willenhall, just around the corner, I believe, Willenhall. Sauna fire, again, 2019. Horrendous. Again, the devastation. And it's a good slide to show this because in fire protection, passive fire protection, we like to always talk about smoke as well as fire. So not just flame, but the smoke as well. So it's quite a good slide for that. And there you can see, again, the devastation caused, and not just to the building itself, but it's quite a rural place. So obviously things such as wildlife, birds probably won't return to their nests because of the toxic environment. So it doesn't just affect the human element. There's other things as well there which we should all be thinking about. So there's the aftermath of the Willenhall. A friend sent that to me about a Range Rover, and I thought this is quite pertinent because in late 2018, a Range Rover developed an engine fault, had some combustion, and started to heat up the concrete above, creating the spalling effect where the free water molecules evaporate, and we have this issue where the concrete basically starts to send out explosive missiles. It cracks, and guess what? It gives way to the floor above, and what's above? Another Range Rover or similar, and that catches fire. Let's have a look at the situation there. 1,500 cars were in that car park and 1,100 were destroyed. Unfortunately, about 400 people wanted to get their cars from the top, but unfortunately they're perfectly functional cars at the top. You couldn't get a hold of them because the rest of the building was completely destroyed. A lot of people probably think concrete doesn't burn. Well, technically, there's going to be an argument there, but it certainly does change formation at those temperatures, which will be very hot. Another one, a care home in Crewe, quite a one close to my heart. We are working very closely with this company to make sure we do the best possible de-risking, as they would call it, for the next phase. There are 4 other buildings and we're working very closely with them, FSI being the preferred manufacturer on this project yet again. And it caught fire. How is unsure. We'll leave that to the people involved to work that out. And again, look at the devastation caused by that. I just might remind you, this is all in a year between the late 2018 and late 2019. And on it goes. The Cube in Bolton, student accommodation. This actually falls into Ash's area because it was a facade that failed to prevent the spread of fire. And let's see it as it goes. Absolute carnage. And you can see the next slide shows people actually having a look at what went wrong. Didn't end there. Quote from the fire service, Greater Manchester Fire Service: the fire ripped across and up the building within minutes, crawling up the cladding like it was nothing. We've seen this in other places, haven't we? Obviously, we don't need to be reminded of the devastation. Obviously not 2019, but I always like to put that slide on just to remind us of that. Another two, DePass Gardens in Barking in London and Sherbrooke Way in Worcester Park, London. Beautiful American-style homes, all on kind of platforms, wooden construction. A whole lot of them just went up. Absolute massive fire. So September 2019, June again. What it is with that year, it'd be interesting to find out what happened. But it's a lot of fires. Just some of the reasons why: fallen over barbecue, cigarette on a combustible balcony, no apparent cause for the Premier Inn, sauna failure at the Holiday Inn, engine failure obviously, and again the cavity barriers at Sherbrooke Way. It's not just the loss of life, which is obviously the worst thing, but we're looking at about £3.13 billion spent on passive fire protection in 2020, £2.53 billion caused due to arson. It's difficult to get the figure accurate, but we could be looking at anything between 12 and 15 billion pounds a year in terms of cost associated with fire damage and loss. So I'll show you some of the figures, and apart from the spike in, as you see, due to the Grenfell disaster, we were on a downward spiral. Yet in 2021, we had a spike again, back up to 311 fatalities. So it was going down to keeping around at just under the 300s mark, 280s, and then it's actually spiked back up there. These figures are sometimes a little bit difficult to get a hold of because sometimes they're released and they do it from June to June, and next year they do it from September to August. So it's very difficult to get an accurate picture, but that's as accurate as I can get it. Having said that, looking back what things were like in the 80s, this one starts in 81, but actually about 1980, deaths were nearer 1,000 a year. So we really are on the right track. Fire rescue services attended almost half the incidents that they did in 03-04 to 2019-2020, so a 15-year period, massive reduce. So yeah, it's on its way down. Some of the reasons why it's on its way down: the Furniture and Furnishings Act, the Smoke Detectors Act, the Regulatory Reform Order of 2005, approved Document B, things such as how, once upon a time 40mm pipes could be ignored, but obviously that's been changed and upgraded now, so that's much, much better for us. Proactive work by the Fire and Rescue Service, looking at social media being a very good vehicle to get messages out about various sort of safety elements. Fire warden and fire education training happening a lot more often, and cigarettes, smoking on the decline, massively on the decline, coupled with all cigarettes really are self-extinguishing now. So that's created a situation where you always hear about people fell asleep with a few bottles of Nuki Brown Ale and a cigarette in the hand, and all of a sudden the SETI goes up. So all these things combined have created a nice sort of picture of a reduced amount of fatalities. Along with the seven prongs of fire protection, and you can look at that. We've got fire alarms, smoke detectors, signage and lighting, fire doors, a whole sort of science and industry in itself, fire extinguishers, a whole industry there, and of course sprinkler systems, which are now made of 32mm CPVC, which is a massive difference to the 4-inch cast iron pipe that we used to lug around. And not forgetting that, we have passive fire protection, the area that we're massively involved in. Closing devices, coated boards, sealants, and other devices that we make to stop the spread of fire. On top of that is my colleague's area, cavity barriers, which we insert into the outer skin of the building, if you will, to prevent fire climbing its way through the building. So we're on the right track. There's still a lot to do, without a doubt. If you consider there are, I think, about 650 or more members of Parliament, and each of those are responsible for a geographical area. In that area, there are town halls, lots of municipal buildings, there are colleges, there are lots of schools, there are lots of universities, university buildings and annexes, there are blocks of flats, there are police stations, lots of buildings. They all need fire stopped. It's not just about new build. Let's not take our eye off the ball. It's not all about new build. It is the existing buildings, and we need to root them all out and make sure they are safe, because that is where we can see a lot of danger happening as well. An example of that, Durham University, very close to where I'm from. Just something I picked up from the internet, no secrets there. Look at all of the individual colleges there, which amount up to some very old buildings with 7,200 students living there permanently, 20,000 students are actually on campus at any one time. So that's just one small university in Durham. It's not as big as likes of Newcastle and Northumbria, which are absolutely massive. 100,000 students operating out of Newcastle University is absolutely massive. Okay, I shall hand you over to, thank you very much for your time. I'll hand you over to my colleague Ash Phillips to talk to you about the cavity barriers.
Am I on yet? Hello. Very good. Thanks for that. Very good. So I'm Ashley. So I work as a business development manager for FSI as a company. I've worked in the industry now for a number of years with another fire stopping competitor, developing cavity barriers, manufacturing cavity barriers, and fire stopping systems. So my talk is a 20-minute talk now. I'll run through the importance of certification when we're looking at these specific products. Within Approved Document B, which is a part of the UK regulations, they offer guidance in terms of where cavity barriers specifically can be located. So here, there's just an example here. You can see cavity barriers at the top of the cavity and at the base of the cavity as well. There's cavity barriers at compartment floor level and also located around all openings, windows, doors, etc. So for us, we're going to look at some of the wider considerations and the accreditation to do with these types of products. What can we learn from the Hackett report? And more specifically, looking at third-party accreditation of the products themselves, but as well as that, third-party accreditation of the installers and how they're really, really important. So the Hackett report, this was a lot of findings came from on the back of this document, very, very important document, and this was identifying really high risk developments and implementing a system and a plan where we can manage these risks in a much, much better way. In Clause 7, subsection 7.15, you can see there, it's on screen, that products that are manufactured must be and subject to periodic retesting, and that testing is certified by an independent third-party certification body. Really important. And also that the details of these materials, the products and the systems themselves, they are published alongside the performance characteristics of each and every product. And the Lpc design guide. So this design guide was written by a wide variety of professionals in the industry. We're talking about fire risk and fire engineers, insurers, the fire service and fire and rescue service themselves, as well as other multidisciplinary engineers and architectural practices. And within this document, section 2.12, it states that all fire protection products shall be certified by an accredited certified body, and that it is vital that certified products are used and specified by building designers, property developers, and other specifiers of these products and systems. But not only that, so first we're talking about products here, but then secondly, if you look at the last point there, it's really stressing the importance of installers as well, and that the installers should be properly trained, and they should be more than competent to understand the systems that they're putting in, understand how those systems have been tested, and understand the specification details, because it can vary from manufacturer to manufacturer. So what is third-party certification of products? It's essentially, there's a multiple things that are looked at: quality and reliability and traceability are the three things. Factory control through factory inspection, initial type testing of the product, product test and assessment evidence as well, development of a technical schedule, traceability from raw materials to site, and also labeling of the product, so it's clear when you get a product on site, what is it, and you can trace that back. So the ASFP as well, they only recommend third-party product certification schemes that have been accredited by a UKES body. There's a number there: IFC, Warrington Fire, UL, as well, BM Tirada, multiple different accreditation schemes available. So FSI, in terms of cavity barriers for our open state range, we have IFC accreditation. So you can see that there, tested to TGD 19, so it's an open state cavity barrier test. And there's an image there on the right hand side. You can see the cavity barriers in place on a project. So this certification scheme, it can be used by architects, specifiers, contractors and building owners, and it avoids costly mistakes, and it really does dramatically reduce the risk for those personnel. Again, ASFP recommend third-party installation is undertaken by a approved contractor, and so this is their quote: all passive fire protection is installed by third-party certified installers, and this certification checks a contractor employs appropriately trained, competent staff to install the required passive fire protection system. Some examples of what the installer scheme contains. First of all, the verification of skills of the management personnel, the designers and the estimators within that particular business. The use of materials and products that have been shown by certification as well or assessment to be appropriate when talking about fire performance. The operatives and supervisors as well, they are assessed in terms of their competence, and that is usually done by a number of inspections. So these sites are monitored, and a big part of that actually is getting manufacturers like ourselves to sites to have a look and to check the quality of the install, and really assist with the QA procedure as a whole. And finally, a certificate of conformity at the end of the project, and the audit trail is finalised with that. So audit and QA, there are a number of applications that are available to the marketplace that can be used. Some examples are up there. Bolster, OneTrace, FireRest, Boris, FieldView's another one. And they're really, really good ways of tracking locations in a building, elevations, specific floor levels. You can monitor the products that have gone in, take photographs, and there's lots of evidence there. You can see on the right-hand side all the locations in the building are tracked in terms of what passive fire protection products have gone in and who's put them in. In terms of the support that we offer as a business, FSI, spoke about supporting the contractors going through that process. We provide method statements and installation guidance. We give toolbox talks. So at the start of a project, when your contractors are just getting going, we'll say, look, we'll give you a talk on the products that we offer and the installation criteria of those items. Quality assurance inspections as well. We conduct those to support that process, and also installation and completion reports.